Video opens on a hyper-detailed, black and white ink drawing. A lone, heavily scarred figure stands on a desolate plain under a sky filled with gnashing, monstrous faces. The wind whips his tattered cloak. The music is a low, melancholic cello drone. Voiceover. There is a flaw in the heart of every ambitious soul. A crack in the foundation of every tower built to touch the heavens. You have felt it. A quiet, gnawing dread that lives in the shadow of your greatest triumphs. The fear that the higher you climb, the more there is to lose. This isn't mere anxiety. It is a premonition. A whisper from the abyss that all things built by human hands are destined for ruin. We will give this flaw a name. We will call it the arrogance of the dream. It is the belief that your will, your ambition, your love, can carve a permanent sanctuary in the unforgiving granite of reality. And the day will come when reality pushes back. When the sky turns blood red, and the edifice of your life crumbles to dust. This is a guide for that day. This is a survivor's manual for the moment the sun goes black. By the end of this, you will not fear the fall. You will understand how to begin again, in the ruins. Phase 2. The problem, you know the feeling. Not the sting of a simple failure, a missed opportunity, a temporary setback. I am talking about the failure that is absolute. The failure that redefines you. You poured your entire being into something. A company. A craft. A relationship. A cause. It was not just a part of your life, it was your life. It was the sun around which your entire existence orbited. You built your identity upon its success, your self-worth upon its foundations. You told yourself a story about who you were, and this dream was the protagonist. And then, it was gone. Not slowly. Not with a gentle decline. It happened in an instant of brutal, blinding clarity. A betrayal you never saw coming. A market crash that wiped you out overnight. A diagnosis that erased the future you had so meticulously planned. One moment, you were the hero of your own story. The next, you were just a body, lying in the rubble, staring at a black sky. This is the eclipse of the self. The pain is not in the loss of the thing itself. The true agony is the silence that follows. The deafening void where your purpose used to be. You look in the mirror and you do not recognize the person staring back. The ambition that once drove you now feels like a childish fantasy. The confidence you once wore like armor now seems a costume for a fool. You try to explain it to others, but the words fail. How can you describe the color of a world from which all light has been drained? They offer you platitudes. It will get better. Every cloud has a silver lining. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And you nod, and you smile, but inside, a cold voice whispers the truth. Something in you did die. The part of you that believed. The part of you that trusted. The part of you that could look at the future with hope instead of suspicion. This is the hidden cost of the eclipse. It's not the event, it's the aftermath. It is the insidious paralysis that sets in. Despair becomes a comfortable blanket. You begin to believe that this ruin is your natural state. That the betrayal was deserved. That you were always destined for this ash heap. Your past becomes a mockery, your future a threat. And so you remain, motionless, in the wreckage, slowly allowing the dust of your shattered world to bury you alive. This stasis is the true enemy. This quiet acceptance of the end. Because the world did not end. It was only your world that ended. And in that distinction lies the terrifying, liberating truth of your situation. You are at ground zero. The old laws no longer apply. The old maps are useless. You are utterly, horribly, and magnificently free. The question is, what does a ghost do, when it finds it can still bleed? The visual changes. We see a close-up of a hand, scarred and calloused, clenching into a fist. Grains of sand and dust trickle from between the knuckles. The music swells with a somber, determined theme. Phase 3. The solution in the chronicles of the Black Swordsman, the warrior known as Guts. This moment is not metaphorical. It is a literal, cosmological event of soul-shattering horror. The eclipse. An infernal Sabbath where his commander, his friend, the man he dedicated his life to, sacrifices everyone and everything Guts holds dear in exchange for demonic power. Guts is not merely defeated. He is invalidated. His entire life, his loyalty, his love, all of it is revealed to be nothing more than fuel for another man's dream. He is stripped of an eye, an arm, and every last shred of his former identity. He is branded as a sacrifice, a piece of meat for the denizens of the abyss. He hits a bottom so profound it exists outside the realm of normal human experience. And it is here, in this crucible of absolute loss, that we find the solution. The philosophy of the branded survivor. It is not a philosophy of healing. It is not about finding closure or moving on. Those are luxuries for those who have suffered lesser wounds. This is a philosophy of endurance, of forging a weapon out of your own broken pieces. It is built on 3 grim principles. First, the death of the dream. You must understand that what you are mourning is not your life, but an illusion. The dream you built your world around, the grand narrative of your success, it was a beautiful, elaborate cage. It defined your movements, limited your possibilities, and made you vulnerable. Its destruction, no matter how agonizing, is a form of liberation. The man Guts was before the Eclipse, the raider captain, had to die. That identity was contingent on Griffith's dream. It was a borrowed purpose. The Eclipse burned away that borrowed self, leaving only the raw, undeniable essence of the man beneath. Your rock bottom does the same. It is a merciless fire that consumes all that is not truly you. You must let the dream die. You must conduct its funeral, mourn its passing, and then you must turn your back on its grave. For as long as you cling to the ghost of what you were, you cannot become what you must be. Second, the brand of sacrifice. The pain from this event will not leave you. It will become a part of you. This is not a weakness. It is a new sensory organ. In Guts's world, he is given a physical brand, a mark on his neck that bleeds in the presence of evil. It is a source of constant pain, a beacon for monsters. But it is also his early warning system. It keeps him awake. It never allows him to forget the nature of the world. Your pain is your brand. The shame, the anger, the gnawing sense of betrayal. This is not a pathology to be cured. It is a compass needle, forever pointing toward the truth. It is a reminder of your own naivety. A testament to the price of trust, a constant, physical ache that prevents you from ever falling back into the comfortable slumber of illusion. You must learn to listen to your brand. It attunes you to the darker frequencies of existence, the ones that naive optimists cannot perceive. This sensitivity, born of suffering, is a source of profound strength. It is what separates the survivor from the victim. The victim is consumed by their pain. The survivor uses it as a lens. Third, the rebirth of will. What do you do when you have lost everything? When hope is a mockery, and purpose a distant memory? What moves you? After the eclipse, Guts is not driven by a grand plan. He is not motivated by a desire to make the world a better place. He is moved by something far more primal. A pure, irrational, biological imperative to persist. To draw another breath. To swing his sword one more time. It is a will divorced from reason, untethered to any hope of victory. It is the guttural scream of existence refusing to be extinguished. This is the genesis of true will. It is not born from inspiration, but from desperation. In the absolute void of rock bottom, when every external reason to live has been incinerated, you are forced to find the one, internal, non-negotiable reason. Because I am. That is all. The choice to stand up when lying down is easier. The choice to take one step when the journey is infinite. This is not a heroic act. It is a biological one. It is the foundational act of the struggler. Your new self will not be built on a dream or a hope. It will be built on the bedrock of this simple, stubborn, animalistic will. Think of it this way. Your life was a magnificent ship, and you were its proud captain, sailing towards a promised land. The eclipse was the leviathan from the deep that splintered it to pieces. You are now adrift in an endless, dark ocean, clinging to a single piece of wreckage. The old maps are useless. The promised land was a mirage. Your task is not to magically rebuild the ship. Your task is to learn to breathe in the water. Your task is to kick. Not to kick your way to a distant shore, but simply to kick, to keep your head above the waves for one more second. And then another. And then another. That is the rebirth of will. And in time, you will find that you have grown gills. You will find that the ocean itself has become your home. And you will become a creature far more formidable than the captain of any ship could ever hope to be. Visually, we see a stunning sequence. A shattered cathedral in the rain. A single, dark flower begins to grow from a crack in a broken stone gargoyle. The camera follows its roots as they snake through the rubble, strong and tenacious. Phase 4. The application. This is not theory. This is a praxis. A set of concrete actions to be taken in the eye of the storm. Forget healing. Forget happiness. These are abstract concepts that have no meaning at ground zero. We will focus on the tangible, on the mechanics of survival. There are 4 steps. Do not deviate. Step 1. Conduct the autopsy. You must face the corpse of your dead dream. Do not look away. Do not numb yourself. Take out a piece of paper, or open a blank document. You will perform a post-mortem examination. Write down, with the cold precision of a coroner, everything that was lost. Be specific. Do not write, "I lost my business." Write, "I lost the identity of founder. I lost the respect of my peers. I lost the financial security I promised my family. I lost the belief that my hard work would always be rewarded." Name the dream that died. Give it a title. The dream of the perfect family. The dream of artistic recognition. The dream of invulnerability. You must look upon the full extent of the devastation. This is not an act of self-pity. It is an act of accounting. You cannot move forward until you know exactly where you are. You are in a field of wreckage. This exercise is you taking inventory of the debris. Most people spend their lives avoiding this, stepping around the wreckage, pretending it isn't there. You will not. You will catalog every broken piece, every shattered hope. This brutal honesty is the first act of defiance. It is you, telling the abyss, "I see you. I am not afraid to look." Step 2. Identify the brand. Your pain is now your guide. You will learn its language. For the next 7 days, your task is to observe and record the manifestations of your brand. Observe it. Note its trigger. 2:30 p.m. Felt blinding rage when I remembered the words of betrayal. You are a scientist, and your trauma is your subject. At the end of the week, look at your list. You will see patterns. These are the whispers of your brand. It is telling you where the wounds are still fresh. Thank you for reminding me what is real. You are not befriending your pain. You are harnessing it. It is no longer a random torture, it is a tool. Step 3. Find the first stone. Grand plans are the enemy of the survivor. The thought of rebuilding your life is so monumental it will crush you into inaction. Your horizon must shrink. It must shrink to the next 5 minutes. Your only goal is to find the smallest possible act of defiance against the inertia of despair. I call this, finding the first stone. It is the first, simple, physical act that reasserts your agency over your own body and your immediate environment. This is not, "I will find a new job." It is, "I will make my bed." It is not, "I will heal from this heartbreak." It is, "I will wash one dish." It is not, "I will overcome my depression." It is, "I will stand up, and I will stretch my arms toward the ceiling for 30 seconds. Guts' first act of survival was not to plan his revenge on a god. It was to push himself up from the mud. It was to find a branch to use as a splint. Choose one, laughably simple, physical task. An action, not a thought. Then, pour every ounce of your focus into executing that single action. When it is done, you have won. You have laid the first stone of your new foundation. Tomorrow, you will lay another. A single push-up. A walk to the end of the street. Drinking one full glass of water. These are not trivialities. They are declarations of war against the void. They are proof that, though your world has been shattered, you still have dominion over the molecules of your own body. This is the seed of all future strength. Step 4. Embrace the struggle as the path. This is the most critical mental shift you must make. You must abandon the idea of a destination. There is no happily ever after. There is no finish line where the struggle ends. The struggler understands that the struggle is the path. Your purpose is no longer to achieve a specific outcome, to be rich, to be loved, to be acclaimed. Those were the goals of the person who died in the eclipse. Your new purpose is simply this, to struggle. When you wake up, your goal for the day is not to be happy. It is to struggle well. To struggle against the desire to stay in bed. To struggle against the voice of despair. To struggle to perform your one simple act, to lay your one stone for the day. This reframing is a liberation. It removes the crushing weight of an outcome you cannot control. You cannot control whether you succeed or fail in the eyes of the world. You can control whether or not you engage in the struggle. Victory is redefined. Victory is no longer reaching the summit of the mountain. Victory is taking one more upward step on an infinite climb. By embracing the struggle as the path itself, you become indefatigable. Failure loses its sting, because your purpose was not to win, but simply to fight. And as long as you are breathing, you can always fight. The imagery is of a blacksmith, hammering a piece of glowing hot metal. Each strike sends sparks flying. The metal is ugly, misshapen, but with each blow, it becomes denser, stronger, taking the crude shape of a massive, brutalist sword. Phase 5. The proof this philosophy is not a comforting lie. It is an operational truth, forged in the extremes of fiction and fact. Look at the arc of the Black Swordsman. Guts, after the eclipse, is the living embodiment of this proof. He doesn't go to therapy. He doesn't seek closure. He conducts the autopsy every single night as he is hunted by demons, physical manifestations of his trauma. He lives with his brand, using its pain as a warning system. His initial journey is a series of first stones, surviving one more night, killing one more monster, taking one more step. He is fueled by a will so pure and so potent that it begins to defy the laws of his universe. He becomes a man whose struggle is so intense that he exists outside the grand, deterministic plan of causality. He becomes a crack in the fabric of fate. His survival and subsequent ascent into a force that can challenge gods is the ultimate testament to this philosophy. He didn't rebuild his old life. He forged a new existence from rage, will, and iron. But this is not confined to the pages of a dark fantasy. It is a fundamental truth of the human condition. Consider the work of Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he describes life in the Nazi concentration camps, a real-world eclipse, a man-made hell designed to strip individuals of all hope, identity, and humanity. Frankl observed that the prisoners who had the best chance of survival were not necessarily the physically strongest, but those who could hold on to a reason to live, a sense of future purpose. But more profoundly, he realized that even when everything is taken from you, one thing remains: the freedom to choose your attitude in the face of your suffering. He wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." This is the rebirth of will, described in the sterile, precise language of a clinical psychologist. In the absolute bottom, when you have nothing left to lose, you find the one thing that can never be taken. The choice not to succumb. The choice to find meaning not in spite of the suffering, but because of it. The prisoners who survived were those who embraced the struggle as the path. Their goal was not to escape, an outcome they couldn't control. Their goal was to endure one more day with dignity. To lay their first stone, to share a crust of bread, to offer a kind word, to hold on to the memory of a loved one. The logic is irrefutable. An identity built on external factors, on wealth, on status, on the approval of others, is inherently fragile. It is a house of cards. The eclipse is the gust of wind that blows it all down. But an identity forged in the furnace of total loss, built upon the internal, unshakable foundation of pure will, is anti-fragile. It cannot be broken by external forces, because it was born from their impact. The system works because it does not try to glue the shattered pieces of your old life back together. It melts them down and forges them into something new. Something harder. Something that can withstand the fire. The visual returns to the lone figure on the plain. The sky is still dark, but now, a single, faint star glimmers in the oppressive blackness. The figure slowly, deliberately, takes a single step forward. Phase 6. The call to action. The eclipse of the self is not an end. It is an initiation. A violent, bloody baptism that separates the person you thought you were from the person you have the capacity to become. It is the moment you stop being a character in someone else's story and are forced to write your own, beginning on a terrifyingly blank page. Now, you must act. The first step is to bear witness. The dream that died during your personal eclipse deserves a name. It deserves to be acknowledged before its ghost is laid to rest. In the comments below, tell us its name. The dream of a peaceful life. The dream of being understood. The dream of a fair world. Name it. By writing it down, you give it form, and you rob it of its power to haunt you. Let this community be the place where we acknowledge the sacrifices made at the altar of our own becoming. If these words resonate with the iron in your blood, if you recognize this desolate landscape as your own, then your journey has brought you here for a reason. This is the struggler's sanctuary. It is not a place for false hope or easy answers. It is a forge for the will. Subscribe and join the branding. We walk this path together, in the dark. Finally, surviving rock bottom is the first step. The next is learning to harness the power that is born there. The rage, the sorrow, the burning will. These are not just feelings, they're fuel. To understand how to use this fuel without being consumed by it, you must understand the beast of darkness that lives within every survivor. Click the video on your screen now. It is our analysis, the beast of darkness. How to tame your inner monster. It is the next chapter in your guide. Do not hesitate. The struggle continues.